Excuse me. Hello and welcome. Here we are. And sorry, I'm looking for my stylus right now. I have no idea where I put it. Very unprepared. It was in my lap. I stood up to find it and it fell off my lap. Right, so yeah, very keen to finish this painting off. It's probably my largest and also most tedious painting yet. There must be 1,000 tiles and 1,000,000 divots in this flooring. They all have to be individually painted. I've done a tiny bit of copying and pasting, but try not to do it with anything that's too finished. So yeah, it's going to be a bit of a tedious one today, just painting a lot of tiles. But like I say, I just want to truck through this painting and get it finished. And we've got a lot of other projects that I'm kind of keen and eager to get to, especially upscale ones, because this one is a speed painting. But boy, yeah, doing this, I almost wish this was more of an upscale painting, like one of these. We start out with lots of pixels and upscale it. I think this is going to be the next painting we're going to work on, so there's a little bit of a teaser. You can see it came from an even lower scaled preliminary, and now we're starting to work into that and finish the kind of painting that we want. Lots of nice juicy texture in the rocks and stuff on this one. Can't wait. I love the subject matter as well. Can't wait to have a go at that one. Obviously this one is on the horizon too, so it'd be nice to get to get a lot of these larger paintings done rather than all of the smaller ones, even if the smaller ones are probably more fun to watch. So yeah, another thing is I need to start saving these, because I've realised that magma compresses everything when you leave it, and it seems like the longer you leave it, the more it compresses it. So now, from now on, I'll save it straight after the stream. Luckily, we can kind of repair the compression using the... Let me make sure we're on the right layer here. But yeah, we can repair this compression just using the blur brush, just by kind of blurring it back together. I think that's what the compression does, is it tries to get rid of the smoother gradations, because then, you know, there's less values being displayed, literally. Posterizes it slightly. So yeah, but those are minor details. We'll remove all of the compression artifacts that Magma has. It's not really that good that Magma does that, although I understand. Just gonna have to change the way I save things. All right. Well, let's start on the long. Oh, let me set some up on the stream here. Sorry. Yeah, we'll start with this long, arduous process now. Painting each one of these tiles in. You can see I start with kind of I've used different values for these circles, but more or less it starts out as circles, and then I kind of add details to them. So this sort of pattern that I'm really going for, where I kind of do a couple of circles and then I do the dark gaps in between. And I'm erasing this right now because I want it to look more... It needs to get squeezed as it gets higher up, because it's there's more foreshortening. Probably just going to dip my head down and get some real grunt work done today if I can. Probably over the next, probably tomorrow too, possibly. Doesn't matter if these aren't perfect off the bat. I mean, it doesn't have to be mathematically perfect. Could obviously do that if we was doing 3D CG or something like that instead, but we're painters, so I don't mind if everything's a little bit organic, a little bit warped. See, that's what I'm trying to say. It's going from a circle where it's facing us to more of a line where we're like I said, there's foreshortening. It is getting shorter. You can see these ones are just lines, so and try to match it with this this part of the texture here. And of course, as things get more side on, the Fresnel effect will mean that they're actually more reflective too. So we're gonna have to consider that. Can't wait till this painting's done though, to be honest. Like I said, it's definitely my biggest and like I say, my most tedious painting so far. I don't know how long I've been working on it for. I'd have to have a look back, but it's at least a couple of months. I think I started it this year. Usually paintings smaller than this take over a year for me to finish. So this one's really something of a breakthrough piece. Like I say, this is I consider this a large illustration, and I want to get more large illustrations done. Build a bit more of a portfolio. Always going on about building a portfolio over the years, so let's just get our heads down and do it, you know. Okay, we're making some progress here. You can see if you watch the previous streams, we've done some work off stream too. I've just done a couple hours painting on it. Especially on this little machine over here. I love this machine for the keyboard that I ended up going with. It's just a complete mess. I don't know how anyone would, you know what I mean? I love the kind of mysteriousness of how these machines work. They've all got such strange controls that you'd wonder how someone even uses. Like, how does someone remember what all of those little keys do? How does someone even use a keyboard that messy? Those are the weird controls and stuff like that. I just love the idea that you could watch someone using one of these machines and have absolutely no idea. They are completely alien to the sort of controls that we see today on machines and stuff, even if they still have screens. It's interesting how this sort of space universe that I've been working on over the past, over this year really, kind of evolved from these machines, that one being the first one. It's kind of inspired by like Abe's Exodus for this one, sort of like save ports where, that's a PS1 game where the character puts his hand on a similar-ish looking machine to this. Just thinking this could be some kind of like identity checker, you know, like you put your hands on it and it says, yep, you're good, and it opens the door next to it, something like that, you know, lets you through. And then this one was actually painted in magma. I don't know how I painted it in one day, along with this one. Both of these were painted more or less in one day. Just kind of branched out from there, and then started having ideas for different ships and stuff. I think this one came first. You can see it's still unfinished really. And started to think about, you know, what the cockpits look like, and you know, I'm already thinking, what do the cities look like, and planets, and excuse me, mines, and industrial operations, and characters, and armor. You know, slowly building the universe out using concept artwork. I have no idea what the end result's going to be. Maybe I'll write some short stories or comics and illustrate them or something like that. But I would like to would like there to be some kind of endpoint, even if there doesn't necessarily have to be. I mean, that's what this channel is. Well, I don't know what this channel is about, but but it seems like it's shaping up to be about concept art. So we'll carry on down the concept art route and see where it takes us, see what concepts we come up with. I think that's what people like as well. I see that people kind of like the idea of these sorts of little projects and stories and stuff. I might need to... Yeah, I might be messing up a little bit here. It might be a bit more important for me to start really scrunching these together, because this ceiling is like seriously facing the camera. Should be a lot of foreshortening. I might not have even put enough in. And I also want kind of a sweep going around like this. And I feel like the wall, if you can see the top shelf here, is completely flat. We can probably pretty easily use the liquefy brush to... No. No, we can't. We'll figure it out. Like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect first time, because we'll keep editing it and hammering it and panel beating all of these little tiles into shape. I was saying on one of the previous streams painting this, but these tiles really feel like it feels like we are gluing the tiles on. Like, almost feels like I'm a construction guy, you know, like a builder. I'm just using cork to glue all of these little tiles on. But that's kind of what this starts to feel like, is a set building, I would say. Kind of like the darker blue colour in between these ones instead. You can see we kind of, the way we stretch patterns in speed painting is interesting and tedious. But you know, you kind of, obviously the earliest things that you painted first, which I think is this patch right here, will be the most finished. And then you try to keep the edges of the texture that you're painting raw, if you know what I mean. Like, you know, a very beginner level. And then as it, you know, the edges, as it goes further into what has already been worked on, gets more and more finished. And that way, you know, there's kind of a step-by-step, almost, an evolutionary, continuous step-by-step of how these textures are built. So if you keep the edges raw like this, and in that analog way where it kind of slowly becomes less and less finished, you've always got a kind of reminder of what each stage is, and you can, you know, as you slowly stretch it along, it sort of can organically grow. Like I say, I really want to put down the speed painting for a while after doing this one, because boy, it's been a big project. And I really do feel like this project would have benefited a lot from being upscaled rather than being speed painted. But here we are now, so let's just carry on and get it out of the way and add it to the portfolio, get it on ArtStation. Forget about it. Ain't that one where the guy's shooting the other guy with the laser instead. These are all going to get repainted, I think. I'm not doing a very good pattern for them. I'm doing them quite rough to start with anyway, so. It's all about the zoom out, you know, when you zoom out, if it looks better, then you've done something good. That's the very basic rule. You can see we're kind of stretching this pattern up here, but the next thing we'll do is we'll take this section, we'll make it look more like the quality of this section. So that's what I mean by it's kind of evolving. I think as soon as if I finished it, oh, controls in this painting app, Jesus. I think if I finished it all the way up to the edges right now without doing more of these discs, what would happen is I would kind of forget the steps. Have to kind of refigure them out, so it's inefficient. Oh my god. Sorry, the controls in this app really annoy me sometimes. There's a lot that they could do to improve this software. I think I've already said it before. I think this software is the future, or this kind of software at least, because of the collaborative painting aspects. This isn't a collaborative painting, to be honest. I might as well be doing this on Krita, but Krita doesn't have this multi-board feature, and in fact, I don't think I've seen this anywhere else. And it's quite a useful feature, especially for concept art, because I mean, for obvious reasons, you can have all of your previous work from that universe on the same canvas, right? Consciously and subconsciously kind of guide you and remind you and keep, god damn, and keep and keep in the same style and keep the same themes going a bit easier. That's why I still work on this in Magma rather than Krita, is because of the multi-boards, really. Otherwise, Krita's like 1,000 times superior to Magma for actual painting and ergonomics and basically everything else. And most importantly, it doesn't compress your work. I think that's kind of unacceptable for a professional art app to compress your work, and they kind of are aiming at professionals on Magma. So I don't know if, especially if you're paying for the service, I feel like you should get lossless compression. Just a thought. And like I say, they're trying to target professionals quite a bit on this software, for the collaborative aspects of it. I don't know how successful they've been with that, or how many professionals and companies are actually using it. I doubt there's many. But that'll be one thing that completely turns professionals off. If it's compressing your work with lossy compression, like every time you leave. I don't know if it does it while you're painting as well. I feel like it might do. And if it does, then that is pretty much gonna mean that I'm gonna have to move on to Krita. So we'll see how it goes. We'll finish this painting off in Magma. Maybe we'll end up just using Krita for the large paintings and paintings that I do. Kind of, especially large paintings. I don't think it compresses the smaller ones as much. But you can see this is the original painting of that thing. Has compressed it a little bit, you can see, just in some of these parts, but nowhere near as much as it's compressed this image. It's kind of punishing me for using a lot of pixels. I think it's 3K by 3K, so it's not exactly a huge, it's not even like 4K, It is a big canvas, but it's not like taking the, Oh well. You can see how abstract this pattern sort of starts out, even though it's quite a mathematical pattern. That's speed painting though. It's best if you start organic. Well, for my paintings at least is. Can't speak for anyone else. You're just trying to get the gist. It's probably the important word, is gist. That's why it's better to not have too many pixels anyway. More pixels than you need, because you'll end up having to do more detail than you need. At some point this pattern really is going to have to change when it gets to the really heavy foreshortening. I feel like I might have to change some of the foreshortening to be stronger than it is even now. Probably starting to become clear just how long and tedious this is and how much work there actually is to be done. The reason upscale would have been better, I say, is because I think it is better for the smaller details. You can see like the rocks and pebbles that we've done on this painting. Excuse me. Incredibly easy to get at this low resolution, and as we go up in resolution, all of it's going to be worked on evenly. So you don't have the problems of trying to spread out a texture, trying to design a texture like you do with speed painting. The lucky thing is, as it starts to foreshorten, it will at least start to obscure it a lot more. The foreshortening does that. And I think, well, it will turn into more of this texture that we see here. In fact, that's what I'm talking about, but I might not have foreshortened it enough on these ones, but I don't know yet. It does look about right. So I'm just kind of going to keep going with it and see. If it turns out that I haven't done enough foreshortening, what I can do is select it all and then use the, well, it's called the transform tool, but the tool where it puts a big square around it that you can grab, and I'll shrink it down. That's all that'll need to be done, really. So the foreshortening is only on one axis anyway. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, I had a fairly good morning this morning. I think I haven't managed to stream much lately. Well, I've been in a bit of a slump, to be fully honest, but I feel like I'm coming out of the slump lately, luckily. And one of the things that really determines whether I stream or not is how good of a morning I have a lot of the time. I have kind of a morning routine that ends in me doing the morning stream. So it's good if I can get through my morning routine and then be streaming by 9:30. I don't know what time we're streaming today. It's a little bit late, maybe 10 o'clock. Hey ho. Try and do a 3-hour stream. Think how much work we can get done in 3 hours though. So many tiles. I mean, look at what that's just unacceptable. That's what the compression's done, I'm pretty sure. Probably looked like that before it got compressed as well. Like I say, the compression kind of posterizes it. Yeah, if it turns out this is compressing it whilst I'm painting, which I'm pretty sure it does, but we'll see if we get confirmation of that. Then yeah, definitely we'll have to move to Critter, unfortunately. So there's no way I'm going to sit here smoothing this out and then it just like undoes it. Pretty easy to fix at least. Man, and yeah, we've been talking about the the tiles on the wall being difficult. Well, look at the divots in this. This floor's kind of like a golf ball. Well, it is exactly like a golf ball. Yeah, we've got to do each one. We've got to do each one of these divots. And I'm going to try and go for this much detail. These ones look really nice, I think. Just in this one. This is where they've been worked. This is kind of like, whenever I speed paint, like I say, with textures especially, I'll end up with kind of a model area. And that's my model area for the floor. You can see it's the same, sorry, I'm messing around my tool. I really can't stand the fact that when you tap the color picker tool, you can see if I hold it and pick a color, it's completely fine. But as soon as I tap it with the keyboard, I'm not pressing it anymore, it just changes your tool to the color picker permanently. Absolutely infuriating. Oh well, yeah, you can see we're doing the floor in the same way with this like 1,000 spots as well. Which is probably nice for congruence, to be fair, because it makes all of the image look like it blends together. If the walls are done in a similar method to the floor. Floor's loads of circles and the walls loads of circles, right? Trying to get these to foreshorten as fast as I can, really, because I think this texture in the background that's just loads of little lines is a little bit easier then, and especially it'll be easier later when I'm trying to make each one of these look like a perfect cup shape. I wish I would make it as well. You see, when I do the zoom in and out on this with my pen, what happens is if I let go of the button on my pen by accident, it will draw. Why not make it so that as soon as I started using this zoom in and out tool, it locks it to that until I let go of the pen on the board? Just another suggestion. I ought to list all of these and send an email to the devs or something, genuinely. And also ask them to make it so that my account doesn't have lossless compression, please. Or doesn't have lossy compression. Even. Because yeah, if this had lossless compression instead, it would be an amazing tool. It would actually be industry ready then, I feel like ish. That and bigger, you can't see that on the stream, but the color picker in this app is awful. It's so small. It's maybe 2 by 2 centimeters on my monitor, which is nowhere near big enough, and there's no way to make it larger, and there's no way to put it on a dock, even though they have other stuff that works on a dock. Right, if I have the chat up, that comes up. Well, maybe not that one, but here you go. Right, so they have the ability to make docks. Why not put the color picker in one and you know, this is scalable. Why not? I don't understand. Oh well. I think yeah, maybe even just until they've gotten the ergonomics sorted on this software, maybe Critter will be better for these extra large paintings that I want to sort of specialize in from now on. Although then again, I feel like I kind of get I don't know. I don't know what the future of this channel really is, because the collaborative side of art is, like I say, what I think is the future. I do want to do a lot of these large paintings, but they're not very communal. Doing the art jams that we've done previously this year, those are amazing, and I think they're way better for YouTube and probably a lot more interesting to watch. There's just more stuff going on, isn't it? And stuff to comment on, like commenting on what people are painting and things like that. And obviously the paintings are often shorter, smaller projects. There's no large projects like this, which can be maybe a little bit more tedious to watch, I suspect, on YouTube. Excuse me. And whilst I can't really sell as many prints of small projects, like this is a small project, this machine here started as its own thing, right? I didn't paint this in that project. Only a few of those machines were painted in project. But these could make nice stickers, right? And people are probably more likely to buy stickers than prints anyway, you know. Just trying to think of the longevity. We'll see. Just need to put the hours in first. I'm a strong supporter and believer of the labour theory of value. So I think put more labour hours in, put more labour content in my work, and hopefully it can be worth a little bit more. This is the reason most people, I think, probably don't like the idea of working on one layer. It's silhouettes, painting around silhouettes. Well, I think most people don't like painting, they like drawing and stylized artwork and cartoons and stuff instead. But yeah, I think this is the reason most speed painters even probably still want to work on multiple layers, even people who paint realistically and stuff. But I just think you're always painting around silhouettes, right? Even all these tiles, why are you going to put all the tiles on a separate layer to the background and just constantly be switching layers? You're always doing that. This seam between these two tiles is in a way a silhouette, right? Where the floor meets the tiles, are you going to make the floor a different layer to the tiles just because there's a silhouette there? Sometimes it makes sense, because I do feel like it might have been easier to paint this as a set without any of the machinery in it, and then to add the machines later. That might have been good, but even then I would have to then figure out the shadows and the reflections now that the machines are in the work. And it's like, at the end of the day, how much time is it really saving you? Painting is a painting. Oil painters don't work on different layers. You could paint this in oil. It'd be very possible to paint this in oil. You need quite a large, or at least I would want quite a large canvas to do that, because I paint very loosely in when I'm painting traditional mediums. As long as we get roughly the right value in here, I'm not really focusing on getting all the every individual tile in. I'll probably end up moving this machine again as well. Oh, excuse me. I feel like these tiles here got maybe a little bit too big. You can see how big I was planning to make them by this this grid I'd done. Way too large. Remember, when we get like warpage and stuff like that as well, at least in digital, it's super easy to fix, at least. I've already done it in some parts of this floor here. In fact, it needs to be done in some other parts, so I can probably do an example. Here you can see the texture's a little bit too small in scale. If you compare it to that area there, to this area, they're very close to each other, and yet these ones look really small. So we can do. I don't know if I'll end up reversing this, if it will look good. I might just end up painting it instead. But see about just expanding it. See what I mean? Yeah, so that does look better actually, and more to scale. And then you just use the blur brush or the paintbrush, obviously, to get rid of the seam. As tedious this is, I don't know. I have a lot of inspiration for people doing tedious things. I'm always on crochet on Reddit. I kind of like crochet, stuff like that. See massive, quilts people make with like a full-on image on them with a million tails that must have taken years and years, or massive pixel art paintings and stuff. Or obviously like amigurumi and stuff like that, like teddies and things like that. It must just take 30 hours and over 1 million stitches and George colour changes. I just think, if people on Reddit can spend this crazy amount of dedication and time and effort to make, a quilt or something, or a piece of clothing, why can't I spend a good 30 to however many, I don't know how many hours these take. I assume it's about 30 hours to finish a large speed painting, Although then again, most of my speed paintings don't have textures in them that are this insane. Like, this is a psychotic texture to paint. I think I might actually have psychosis by the time I finish this. By the time I finish this painting, probably would have driven me crazy. I don't know if I'm doing this texture too big. I'm trying to relate it to here, and you can see they're a lot smaller over here and at the same distance. But I kind of like this small because it's clearer, so I might make the other side look a bit more like this. I can actually copy and paste it over because it's kind of early. So that makes it easier. See, the dots are a lot easier to do when they're very foreshortened, like I say, because it's just little lines instead. It's 1,000 times better than doing a million doing that swirly pattern with the brush. Obviously a lot longer and less efficient than just doing a little dash like that. And if you're doing literally like 7 million of them, like I appear to be doing, that cycle time is going to mean a lot. This stuff's way too big, I think. Let's look how small these ones are getting. I think one of the issues I'm doing is I'm making them too much narrower. They still need to be somewhat wide. But like I say, it really doesn't matter because we're trying to get it to look right at this distance first, and then get it to look right the more and more you zoom in. But boy, yeah, still a big job. Like I say, we might have approached it with maybe the wrong tool set. To be fair, that's the one thing about Magma that might be good, is it's obviously going to be much better at things because of the compression and just the way that the UI is a lot less ergonomic. This probably is a lot better for the pixel art stage of a lot of my paintings. And then maybe once we go past the pixel art stage into the upscale stage, like here, maybe that's when it's all the upscale stage, but the final upscaling stages, that's maybe when we switch to Critter. See, I'm just trying to connect these two textures. Maybe we can have a look in the version history. Well, excuse me, when we call it a day today, which might not be too long from now. I don't know how much stamina I've got. 3 hours is kind of the max that I try to do for these, and also the target, I guess. I try to do with these streams, but I don't mind doing a little short one, especially since I haven't streamed in like maybe 1 month, which isn't too bad. This year's been pretty good for the channel actually. Maybe this last 2 years even. When did I start doing all those shorts? I started doing loads of shorts at one point. They're a bit cheesy, the shorts were, but I like them, so I've left them up, and they'll probably stay up. It's just how to paint little simple things. It's more for maybe a younger audience than this sort of thing is. But yeah, I think that's when I started doing a little bit more serious work on this channel, and it's still been inconsistent, but we're working on it. We're working on the consistency. I think a lot of my issue was not having much work on, and you know, actually trying to juice ideas out of myself. It's hard to come up with ideas before. But I feel like now that I do have this upscale process, it's a lot easier to come up with ideas, because each idea only takes 5 minutes to paint. Literally, I time it for 5 minutes, so I can come up with, like, you know, hundreds of ideas easy. Here you can see a batch of 8 ideas. This was 2 hours worth of painting. We've got 8 preliminaries, and you can see this one. Only 1 of 8 have we progressed so far. I don't know if I'll do any of others, I doubt it. But yeah, so that's 2 hours, and I did 8 preliminaries, and 1 of them is a successful preliminary that we're going to finish off. And I actually really like this preliminary. It's one of my favourites that I've done. I'm going to try and keep the... Obviously, I do random stuff in these preliminaries, so you can see I made this guy purple, and, you know, there's always something weird. This guy's, like, completely orange, especially colour-wise. But I'll try and keep that aspect in this painting. I won't always, but in this painting, I have an idea to kind of make these people be wearing armour that's kind of made out of, like, ruby, if that makes sense. It's like very slightly translucent, catches the light, and I really want it to actually be that bright pink, purple, whatever you want to call it, colour. That'll look really cool. Hopefully as cool as this. It's the other thing, I used to, in previous years, I don't know when I started, probably like more like 2019 I started really painting and actually publishing it online. But I've kind of gone from painting exclusively dungeons type stuff, dark fantasy, I think it's called, skeletons and knights and goblins and ghouls and monsters, and now obviously you can see a lot of my paintings it's kind of a mix. A lot of them are more space age type stuff, so the kind of fantasy that I do kind of changes over time. Like I say, I really want to focus on concept art on this channel, so we're going to try and do all kinds of fantasy. Almost the entire floor filled in now. Pretty satisfying. Speaking of morning routines as well, I think I've got my morning routine a little bit better now for these streams. Like I say, I'll only do a short one today, but I think now that I've got the morning routine a bit better, it'll be a bit easier. I eat a bit of a bigger breakfast, because I've noticed that's when I was doing these streams the last couple. You can probably see me complaining about it if you've watched the previous ones, but maybe getting a little bit hungry. So I do these in the morning, and I was only eating like you know, some breakfast cereal and some crumpets and stuff before doing it. Got myself some nice scrambled egg and some sausages and stuff today before streaming, so the stomach is full. Painting on an empty stomach, definitely not fun. Looking more and more finished at an accelerating rate, this painting though. And even though it looks tedious now, I think it probably gets less tedious as we go along. Like, these tiles aren't quite finished, but finishing them is I don't know, sometimes it gets more tedious as it gets more finished because you're working on more smaller details. But I think in this case it'll probably get a bit less tedious as it gets finished. Probably just breathe a sigh of relief that I don't have to paint any more goddamn circles. But like I say, I kind of treat it like a construction job. Ooh. I live in Birmingham, where we have the Bullring. Very famous building for how it looks. And it's covered in, if you've ever seen it, it's covered in a lot of tiles very similar to this. I don't know if the Bullring is actually what inspired me to paint these subconsciously. You know, it's a bit of a coincidence. I live in Birmingham and my paintings ended up covered in these metal tiles very similar to the Bullring. But you know, like I say, it's a bit like a construction job. Someone glued or screwed or whatever they did all those metal discs to the exterior of the Bullring. You know, I feel like I'm just doing a similar project to that, but I'm a one-man construction army. I just pretend that I'm actually here in the set, you know, and I'm walking around, and maybe there's a pile of these little tiles here. I've got a cork gun. You know what I mean? I'm just squirting a bit of glue on and then sticking the tiles on there. It's like I say, it really does. I mean that, it really feels like that. It feels like I'm set designing for a movie or something, rather than doing an illustration at some point. Especially once you kind of got the fundamentals down, which I feel like these days I kind of have. The fundamentals are just kind of second nature to me, so I know how to paint a metal tile, a wall, a light, any shape in the world, in any material. And so when the rendering is not what you're really thinking about anymore, because it's just an automatic process, then it's the actual construction and the design of the set that you end up thinking of, and that just becomes the abstract cork gun, the abstract tools that you're using. It's interesting as well because you know, I'm trying to keep traditional going. I really want to do some more traditional painting before this summer ends, but I try to paint from reference, especially from life, if I'm painting traditionally, and from imagination if I'm painting digitally. I think that's where either medium shines, honestly. And I remember, you know, when I was kind of learning the fundamentals and how to paint and stuff, the number one thing was, you know, paint from reference, learn by painting from reference, learn by painting from reference. If you don't paint from reference, you won't learn. And if you don't paint from reference, and even if you do look at artists that are very skilled, professional artists, they will almost always use plenty of reference in all of their illustrations. And you can see the results of that. But for me, I don't know, it's kind of like a weird neurosis I have where I don't think it's an uncommon one either. At least I'm not alone. Where I kind of don't really enjoy painting in digital from reference. And I really don't enjoy it that much at all, to be honest. I don't see the point, I guess. I think traditional's better for that, for me. So this painting, zero reference was used to make this painting. Absolutely none at all. Not for any of these computers, not for the set itself. And that's what I mean by, you know, once you kind of learn the fundamentals, you can kind of construct things out of materials without needing to copy or to reference or anything like that. You can work straight from the mind. It's the most satisfying way to work for me digitally. It becomes very unsatisfying, I feel like, when you're trying to do from imagination in traditional. But like I say, digital is amazing. It's so powerful for imaginative, and traditional's great for reference, and a lot less powerful for imaginative work. and digital is not less powerful for referenced work, but I don't know. It just feels like just doesn't feel like there's much of a point to it. It doesn't feel very rewarding. Even if I can paint probably much more effectively from reference in digital, it's just like, what's the point? I might as well. If I'm painting a picture of a person, especially value-wise, I get that. Like I say, I am a large proponent of the Labour theory of value, but I think something has to be a commodity to conform to that. And while a one-off painting isn't a commodity, it meets the criteria that people want it. I don't necessarily know if many people want family portrait or whatever, the sort of stuff that I usually do, or a landscape or whatever, in the sort of stuff that I usually do in traditional. I don't know if people want that in digital. I think it becomes not much of a commodity anymore once you digitize it. People like to have an oil painting, right? And oil paintings are super fascinating as an object because you can see the brush strokes. It's just a really cool object. An oil painting is so much more to look at and to think about and admire than if it was print. And I think that really kind of goes the same even for prints of oil paintings and of traditional paintings. I think print is a very different kind of commodity, a very different kind of object. People want a print for a different reason. They want a print because they want something that looks cool on their wall. They want a painting because not only does it look cool on their wall, but because it's a painting, like it's made with actual paint. It's been physically put together and mixed and has depth. You can see the texture of the brushwork in it. I get that you can get prints with brushwork in them now, but it's not what I'm trying to say. I guess I don't subscribe to the subjective theory of value. I do concede that I think whether something is a commodity or not can often be a subjective measure, or not really a measure, but more like an on-off, like a subjective boolean. And that's what I mean. I think subjectively, people don't want a family portrait. They don't want their family photo painted digitally and then printed out. They want their family photo, painted in gouache or oil. We're nearly done. This is the last gap. We won't have to paint any more circles anymore. I was talking a load of rubbish saying that I slowly stretch out the pattern, by the way, wasn't I? Oh no, I did not mean to do that. Whatever I did was like a shortcut by accident. Lucky stuff gets saved in this program. Right, here's the last circle. The last one. Oh. Anticlimactic. Way. So now when we zoom out, we can start to see some of the overarching pattern. You can see kind of around this area it gets a little darker than it should, I'm noticing, but let's see how it goes. Yeah, and what I was saying is I kind of abandoned the idea of slowly spreading it out. I ended up doing all of the circles, but it still kind of made sense, because the circles are just a base as well. Excuse me. Wow, that was a lot of circles. I'm probably going to do circles inside of the light as well. I'm not sure. Let's do it just to see how it looks. I did just say that was the last circle, but like I said, I don't think I am going to end up putting circles inside the light area like this. I don't know whether I'm going to add another circle on the inside of this light as well. A little bit like that. No clue. See what looks best as we go. It's probably not that important whichever way I choose. Well, there's some of these reflections. Yeah, they're just circles at least, to be fair. Yeah. If I add the circle to the middle of the light, obviously I've got to come into all the reflections and add a circle in the middle. If that makes sense. you don't always have to worry that much about the reflections being accurate. I think that's one of the misleading things, and something I've been wanting to make a kind of video about lately, maybe. When artists talk about painting reflections, I feel like they always talk as if the reflections have to be accurate, and they don't have to be accurate, like, at all. Like, if you ever played a video game, like a Source Engine video game, Half-Life or CSGO, none of the reflections are accurate in video games, and it's still, the object looks reflective, so obviously that's not true. You can, yeah, I don't like the way the tiles look in there. You can, I'm not going to erase them, just in case I change my mind, but you can generalise reflections, is what I'm trying to say. Maybe that'll be the title of the video, something like that. Well, it'll probably need to be more provocative. You've been told wrong about reflections, something like that. I don't know. I'm trying to keep my channel classy, but you know. A little bit of sensationalism, doesn't it? Yeah, that's every tile. I've painted every tile. And you know what? Seeing as this is my first stream in like a month, and we did just paint like a lot of tiles, and we've now finished the tiles, I think it's probably a good place to end it. We've been painting for about an hour. So maybe tomorrow we'll try a 2-hour stream, and then we'll see where we go from there. Get a little bit longer. My hand's going to be cramped even just after this 1 hour as well. I need to order a new pen that's a bit more ergonomic. Okay, well, to anyone who stumbles upon this video and actually watches it, thank you for joining. Yeah, see you next time, and hopefully this painting gets finished soon, because I really want to start uploading more to that art station. And so join us to see how this art portfolio and this art channel, you know, turns out. Cheers, and see you next time.